Hey YouTube, it's WAAAGH again with a little video about my 40k orcs. I'm taking a break from painting those Dwarf Miners to show you some of the things I've done with my 40k Nobz. This is just the beginning of my Nobz unit. I'm eventually planning on kitting it out full size with the Pain Boy and all other bits and pieces, but for now these are the first 5 models that I have, and I just wanted to go over a little bit my philosophy on the 40k orcs. I think that the fun of playing and painting one of these armies is that you don't really have to stick to one specific clan, fluff-wise. You know, the orcs, when they want to fight, they just get together with whoever's around them and they just jump into a fight. And if they don't have anyone to fight, they'll fight themselves. But for my army, the basis of my Ork Army is that they're a bunch of different clans that just got together and are now just going around looking for fights. And that way, if I decide to use the Gazkul Thraka model as a field him as my war boss, then it'll make sense fluff-wise because he's the great prophet of the WAAAGH and he gets all the different clans under him. If not, then it gives me a chance to paint different kinds of orcs, different clans, and just get better in my painting technique. I think if I chose a specific clan, one of the 6, then I might get bored, or I might, you know, start thinking, oh, I wish I'd picked Evil Suns instead of the Bad Moons, or oh, I wish I'd picked Snake Bites or Blood Axes, getting bored of painting Goths, or, you know, whatever. So that's just my thought. And, you know, I've seen other armies online that have found great themes and ran with them and made their whole army with just one clan, and you know, that's great. But for me, I think this is more fun for me, painting, you know, instead of having one unit of Ludas painted all in Death Skull colors, to have, you know, one of them be a Snakebite and one of them be a Blood Axe, and to see all the different kinds of color combinations I could come up with. So okay, enough talking, start showing. Here is my first Nob model. I decided to make all of my Nobs cyborgs with heavy armor. If you can tell, they've been kitted out with extra armor plates, like here on their back and on their shoulders. Just find any spare place where it looks like it could fit an armor piece and just glue it on. I think they kind of makes them look like football players almost, even especially this guy with this little breather mask with the shoulder pads and stuff. It looks like he's getting ready to rush somebody with his big chopper here. And I found that the Nobz kit and the Ork Boys kit have so much great little extra additional bits and pieces to add on. Not only the armor plates, but even little spiky bits that you could put on the ends of weapons or on their guns, like little bayonets under their sluggas. Oh, it's just great stuff. Okay, so here's my first boy, Nob. Number 2. Here we have, and that blue one, if you didn't know, is a Death Skull, because they love blue. This one is an Evil Sun, whose predominant theme is red. Alongside with the heavy armor, I gave him a gear shift from the truck. I'd forgotten to put it in when I was building my truck model. So I was like, well, I'm building cyborgs, I'm just going to stick this thing on this guy's back. And that way, if the mech wants to shut him off to do some repairs or whatever, you just flick it to the off switch, which is on the right. I wrote on the left and off on the right. That way, people can see if you want to turn this guy off, just shift him to the right. Downshift. Alright, so that's number 2. Slugga Choppa. Now my favorite conversion of this mob so far, I'm not really done with it yet, but this Blood Axe Nob, I gave him a Power Fist, which is here represented by this awesome circular saw that I wanted to look like it was just freshly done, this surgical enhancement. So I gave him some blood speckling from where the Power Fist meets this flesh of his real arm, and it looks really gross and super awesome. I also gave him this from it's an extra piece that you get with your Storm Boys. You have some odds and ends, extra little pieces, and his arm was missing something, and I found it in my bits box, and it fit his, right here, the shoulder part, and it's just a bunch of little dials and readouts. Not dials, what word am I looking for? Meters, I think, like gas meters. Anyways, I painted it to represent, kind of like in a race car, the white little speed dials, I guess you could call them, with the black little dial thing in the middle. So you could tell when he's overheating from too much exertion. And of course, give him the standard blood axe camouflaging, contrasting camouflage, so they don't really camouflage too well because they just find different pieces of camouflage. And my favorite piece, this green stuff commissar's cap I made from scratch, and I think on this head in particular, it just when angled right with that brim of his cap just kind of casting that shadow on his face, it really makes this guy look like he's just screaming orders like, "Oi, get up there and fight your Zagen gits raw," or whatever orcs say. I don't really know orc tongue, orc speech. Okay, and also finally I gave him this little headlight from the truck, which I also forgot to put on. I guess I missed a lot of bits and pieces from my truck. But there he's got a little searchlight. You can go look for those weedy humies. So I've got, what do we have next? The WAAAGH banner carrier knob. I gave him this mask helmet thing made out of a Warhammer Fantasy banner pole. Cut off the two end pieces to frame around his face. I also gave his slugga a little extension with a knife so it could be a little bit more stabby. And as everyone knows, this snakebite knob doesn't like technology. Snakebites generally don't, so their equipment is usually rusty, kind of corroded. So I gave his power fist a little rust action here and a little bit of chipped paint chips battle damage. And I've also gave him a crank because snakebites don't really like technology, so you gotta crank up his power fist. And this crank is just from the I think that's another bit from the truck kit. So there you go, gotta crank up his power claw to get it going. That's Chief Raging Squig. And finally, this first batch of knobs is this Bad Moon knob with the power claw. And I painted it with some power lightning lines from the tutorial, and I don't think it was this last month, but the month before it had a tutorial on how to paint Space Wolf Terminators, and they had lightning claws, and you just give them these little power claw arcs. So it's another first attempt that hopefully I'll get better with practice. And I gave him really bright yellow. Most of this was all done with GW paints, so I think this was built up from Eon Den Dark Sun all the way up to Sunburst Yellow, and give him some flames there. So there you go. These are my first 5 knobs. I'll come back with more when I have them done. Thanks for watching.